Hey friends, welcome back to our channel. My name is Allure. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. On this channel, we talk a lot about personal development and personal finances. So if you enjoy conversations like that, definitely subscribe and join the party. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of the best and worst financial decisions I have made in my 20s thus far. I find these videos to be so entertaining. I find it pretty insightful to know what other people would consider to be their financial mishaps, and then what they would consider to be worthwhile purchases and investments. And I also love that we're able to gain solace to know that we are not alone in our financial mishaps, because let's be honest, were you really in your 20s if you didn't make juvenile choices? So, although I'm still very much so still in my 20s, I thought I would share my experiences because there's something to learn here, hopefully, and hopefully you find it pretty entertaining as well. I would love for you to drop down in the comments some of your best and worst financial decisions. But before you do, and before we get into mine, go ahead and get friendly with that like button. Go ahead and tap that like button. You guys become acquainted and whatnot, because it really helps with the algorithm, and I appreciate you. All right, thank you. All right, so number one, first terrible financial decision is the delivery services. After the overinflated menu prices, the small order fee, the service fee, the delivery fee, and the tip, I'm paying $35 for an $8 sandwich. And if that's not a bad financial decision, I have no idea what is. And I don't even know when I became this avid food delivery service user or orderer. Actually, you know what? I do. It was when I moved out, and coincidentally my businesses were also taking off, and so I really just wasn't prioritizing cooking. It was just so convenient, and because I was making so much more money than my uni student on a budget salary, I could care less about the overinflated menu prices combined with the outrageous fees. But you know what's not convenient? Being charged 4 times the price of an item simply because I don't want to set aside an extra hour to make my own food. So let's do some math here. On average, if I were to do my own groceries, I spend about $100 every 2 weeks for my own groceries. And if every Uber Eats order is approximately $35 on average, that means after 2 days of ordering food twice a day off of Uber Eats, I've already surpassed the amount that it would cost me for 2 weeks of groceries. That's absolutely wild. Now, I'm not going to say that I will completely cut out food delivery services from my day-to-day activities. Let's not get ridiculous. I'm not about to lie to you guys here, but I think it's something to definitely be mindful of, and I've been consciously making an effort to do more groceries and to cook at home more often. Bad decision number 2, spending cash. So when I was in school, I used to waitress and bartend and do bottle service as well. And up until recently, that was some of the most fun and best money I had ever made, but it was mostly cash. I was making anywhere from $300 to $1,200 a night for a few hours of work. And because I'd always have cash on me, I was spending it pretty frivolously. So one time when I used to work at Hooters, I had a pouch that I would keep all of my tips in for the day, and I forgot it at work. And I didn't even realize that I had lost it. My manager on my next shift day gave it to me, and he was like, this is yours. It was in the back room. It has your name on it, and it has $800 in it. And it boggles my mind that I didn't even notice or realize that I had lost it, because I wasn't working for a few days and my life continued to go on just the way it was. I didn't even realize that I didn't have it because I didn't need my pouch. So how do you as a student lose $800 and not even recognize that you have lost $800? That's because it was all cash. And although I feel that I've always had a pretty good relationship with money, I definitely feel like I could have managed those cash tips so much better, because what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. So if I could tell my 21-year-old self anything, I would definitely say deposit that cash very regularly and only pay for things electronically so that you can manage your money better. All right, number 3 on this list is emotional spending for the hypothetical version of myself. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I had this gorgeous gown in my closet that I bought for $600, and my thought process on it was that, you know, when I get invited to some fancy gala, you know, the one that the Obamas invite me to, they were gonna invite me as their +1. Well, then when they do that, I wanna make sure that I'm looking extra bomb, and my supporting rationale behind this was I'm gonna buy it now so that no one else is wearing the same thing as me because I'm buying it so much earlier. Well, you know what happened? The minimalist in me and the girl who absolutely hates clutter ended up donating that dress. That's right, I donated a $600 dress that I've never worn before. Why? Because I didn't get invited to a gala with the Obamas. I got invited to a couple galas since I bought that dress, but what did I do? I wanted to shop for the occasion because that's the kind of gal I am. I like shopping for events. I enjoy that process. So why would I think that for some hypothetical version of me, I would be any different? Strange. So let's move on to the next worst financial decision, and that would be shopping for things last minute. Now, this could definitely pan out when it comes to buying things for events last minute or just planning last minute and paying a premium because of the time sensitivity. But I'm going to talk particularly about flights for trips that I knew I was taking weeks and months in advance. But for some reason, I would wait until a week or two before I travel to book my flight. And I think a part of me would do this because I was just trying to avoid having to pay travel insurance, because I think my rationale behind this was if I'm booking within a week or two before my trip, it's less likely that I would end up needing to reschedule or cancel. And sometimes I just would not prioritize it. I would literally be shopping for my trip and buying outfits and planning my nail appointments and hair appointments and wax appointments around the trip, and just knowing that I'm going to be going on this trip, and for some reason I would just not buy my ticket. So I'd be knowing that I'm going to be going on these trips, but I just simply wouldn't book my ticket, and I just was not making smart financial decisions. Book your tickets in advance and don't plan last minute to avoid paying premium prices for time-sensitive activities. Next financial mishap is buying designer makeup. Like, what was I thinking? Buying designer makeup is some of the worst money I've ever spent ever. Like, why am I spending $90 on a foundation when the best foundation that I've ever used for my skin type and my skin shade was a $15 black opal foundation stick? It's mind-boggling. It wasn't a $90 Lancome double wear something. It wasn't a Pat McGrath something. It wasn't a NARS something. It was a $15 foundation stick. I find that with makeup, it's mainly about how well you apply it and less about how much the product cost or the brand name on it. Not to mention, when you're out and about wearing this foundation, nobody knows that it's Chanel foundation or YSL lipstick. It just looks good or it looks bad. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with a little bit of drugstore makeup, a little bit of L'Oreal, Maybelline, never hurt nobody. It's more so about the application and the formula and less so about how much the makeup costs, because nobody knows that you are wearing designer makeup. And it ends up just being decoration on your bathroom countertops. But then how much storage do you actually have? And if you're a gal like me who hates clutter, like I said, you end up throwing it out anyway. So it really serves no purpose. Buy products because they actually work, not because they're designer. So the next item on our list is phone updates. The amount of money I've spent on phone updates is actually disrespectful. Now, I have to give credit where credit is due. The branding and marketing on companies like Apple is phenomenal, because every year they'd release the exact same phone for $1,500 plus, add, revise, or remove a critical feature, and then convince millions of people to purchase it. And I was one of those strange people who would hurry up and buy the latest iPhone once a new one came out, regardless of if I needed a new phone or not. Not to mention the amount of times that I would completely shatter my phone from dropping it accidentally, or a wild night of clubbing or partying, and then I'd have to spend hundreds of dollars every single time in order to repair the screen. A tragedy. I've spent way too much money on phone upgrades that were so unnecessary. So the current me and the older me is not spending thousands of dollars on phones that I don't need. I'm gonna be using my phone, wearing it down to the ground, honey, until I need an upgrade. And I don't really care who's telling me that I have third latest model of the iPhone. I don't care. My phone works. It sends text messages, it picks up calls, and it declines calls. Like it's going to decline anyone in my life who tries to shame me for not having the latest iPhone. Okay, so those were all of my financial mishaps, pretty bad decisions that I've made with my finances. And now let's go into my best purchases in my 20s thus far. So number one, I'm gonna go ahead and say my laptop. So up until just about a week ago, I had a 2015 MacBook Pro that I got specifically because I knew I wanted to start my YouTube channel. And I heard it was better for editing. Now, although there are great softwares to edit with PCs, this is by far one of the best purchases I've ever made, especially because right before my MacBook, I had a bunch of PC laptops that would run me anywhere from $500 to $800 each and would break down within a year every single time. So between computer glitches for no apparent reason or hardware just falling apart, it was so inconvenient to have cheaper computers that just didn't last as long. My MacBook Pro after taxes was about $2,000 and has lasted me close to 6 years and is still alive. I only recently got a new laptop because my old one was starting to get a bit slow and would sometimes overheat, but it's gotten me through my entire YouTube journey thus far, any businesses that I've started or currently still run, all my schoolwork, all my leisure, and it hasn't had any major glitches or needed major repairs apart from cracked screens or water damage, which I have caused personally to a computer, and I've gotten it repaired with no issues at all. So if we were to do the math here on that, and let's say we were to average on the modest side that I was getting $600 PC computers for the last 6 years, that would run me about $3,600. And I would have ran through a whole bunch of computers, which is so inconvenient. But for the last 6 years, I've had the same laptop, which was a $2,000 computer, which is still alive and hasn't given me any major headaches at all. Although it was a pretty steep investment for a computer, I had never purchased a computer that expensive. It was definitely worth it in the long run. So I'm gonna say quality over quantity definitely applies here. Next up on the list of the best investments I've made in my 20s, I'm gonna put travel on this list because I am definitely a self-proclaimed jet set princess, honey. I love a good wanderlust getaway, and not just so I could say, ooh, I'm well traveled, or to get a good flick for the gram, because to be honest, most of my favorite travel experiences never even made it to the internet, really. Now, don't get me wrong, those things are great. I love a little nasty slay for the gram, honey, but really being able to travel granted me so many experiences in life that I don't feel I could have successfully attained elsewhere, or at least attained at a comparable capacity. Now, I love traveling for so many reasons, but mainly because I get to broaden my horizon. Traveling so often allows me to enhance my tolerance for uncertainty and actually embrace it. You learn so much about not only yourself, but the people you travel with and the people that you meet who live in other parts of the world. And can we get into the real gem of traveling? Solo-cations. Oh my gosh. The first time I took a trip by myself, I was so nervous. So I was living in the UK for a few months for work and just for a change of scenery as well. And that trip didn't make me nervous because I have so much family in the UK and I had coworkers there as well. But then I found out how cheap it was to travel within Europe from the UK. And I was like, what? How can I not take advantage of this? But then I was pretty apprehensive because I was by myself. I wanted to explore these European countries that would easily cost me thousands of dollars if I was visiting from Canada, but under $100 now that I'm already in Europe. But my dilemma was that I had never been on a leisure vacation by myself. I ended up taking the plunge. I went to Paris, Barcelona, Madrid, and a few other places on my own, and wow, I was so glad that I did. I don't think you've truly experienced peace of mind until you've taken a vacation by yourself. Not to mention, when I came back from that trip, I was so confident to go to other events by myself as well, which was something I would have never done earlier. I always used to have to call up my girls to go somewhere with me, whether it was just a regular outing or somewhere really important. So yes, traveling was and will probably always be a worthwhile expense for me. Next up on the list, I have hiring a team. Now this is actually an ongoing expense for me, but it truly is one of the best expenses I possibly have at the moment because of the amount of support that my team provides me with, as well as the pressures that are eliminated and help me with a better quality of life, because now not all the pressure and responsibilities fall on me, even though I still assume all the risk as the business owner. So I guess the pressure and responsibilities still do fall on me, but it's different. I'm just super grateful that I'm able to receive help and assistance from these amazing souls that I get to call team members. So this is my social media manager, my community manager, my operations manager, my admin assistant, my video editors, and now my brand management company. Doing everything on your own is great, but it's not scalable. And I really feel like I have lucked out and I have truly been blessed with such an amazing team of people who are knowledgeable, have great, amazing personalities, and seriously extremely competent forward thinkers. I can go on and on and on and rave for days about how amazing they truly are. So for me, I don't even feel like this is an expense really. I feel like it's more so of an asset. But yes, hiring people to support me with business related things that I can't do all by myself is worth every single penny, dime, dollar, all the things. It's 100%, 1000% worth it for me. So next up in my list of worthwhile expenses in my 20s, I'm gonna include mentorship, e-learning, and I'm gonna go ahead and include my university education in this as well. So investing in my education and mentorship is not only an increase in my personal development, but I am the greatest asset I'll ever own. So investing in myself and betting on myself is always going to be a worthwhile expense and always going to be worth every single penny and every single dime. So I got my bachelor's degree in business administration with an area of emphasis in finance. And although I no longer work corporate, my degree assisted me with career advancement while I was still working in corporate, and it helped me to secure a stable salary. Not only that, but the skills I obtained helped me with what I currently do now, which is monetizing my social media account, running online businesses, and helping others to do the same thing. And if I'm being honest with myself, my educational background in accounting and finance support me with recognition of expertise in some scenarios. Mentorship and e-learning is also 100% worth the investment because I'm able to gain knowledge and expertise from other people who have already been through the walks of life that I'm about to embark on. So being able to leverage someone else's expertise and someone's knowledge in such a short amount of time compared to how long it took them to learn it, as well as being able to access it so conveniently, is always going to be 100% worth the investment. I'm all about bettering myself, and in any way that I can do that, I'm so for it. So that basically sums up my worst and best investments that I had so far in my 20s. I still got a few years to go, so I'll probably make some more bad decisions and some better decisions, but so far that sums it up. So I would love to know what some of your best financial decisions were and some of your worst financial mishaps were. Let me know down in the comments what some of those purchases were. I love you guys so much. Love you to the moon and back. Be true to you. Bye.